The time is now 7:30 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Old Bridge Township Zoning Board of Adjustment for March 18th, 2021. I'm James Sullivan. As chairman of the board, I would ask you now to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Old Bridge Township Zoning Board of Adjustment has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting by prominently posting in the municipal complex an announcement giving the time, the date, location, and the agenda of this meeting. Also by mailing such announcement to the Home News and Tribune, filing a copy of such announcement with the municipal clerk, and posting the same on the township website. Ms. Silverman, could we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Dewhurst?
Here.
Mr. Connor?
Here.
Ms. Kilduff?
Here.
Mr. Stoner?
Here.
Ms. Andrews? Ms. Andrews? I saw her before.
I think she's here. We can move. We'll
I see her thing on there. Okay. Chairman Sullivan?
here.
Mr. Sachs?
Here.
Mr. Gill?
Here.
Ms. Sawant?
Here.
And myself, Kim Silverman.
Thank you, Ms. Silverman. This meeting is being conducted electronically via the internet by a webinar. It's unique and it takes patience on all involved because we no longer sit together in the courtroom in the township. We're doing these meetings live from our own homes or our own home offices. Pardon me. This meeting is also being televised on OBTV channel 15, as well as YouTube Live. I remind those watching on any device that there may be up to a 30-second delay in communication. This becomes important and to remember if you wish to personally join the public portion. Anyone calling in must lower the device that you're listening on, otherwise you'll be confused by the time delay. I would ask all participants in the meeting tonight to please silence your cell phones at this time to avoid any disturbances in the testimony. The meeting follows the same protocols as if we were in the courtroom. Tonight we have some general housekeeping issues, after which is going to be two C variance applications. I don't anticipate there would be a recess in tonight's meeting, but should one happen, we'll obviously put enough notice to those watching at home. As in all applications, after each C variance that we hear tonight, individually there'll be a public portion. So if you have any particular interest in either of the two matters that are going to be heard by the board this evening, you'll be able to call in by telephone. And if you're watching right now, you see a virtual zoning board meeting notice in front of you, and it contains various phone numbers, a webinar ID, and a password ID. So if you're interested in calling in, you call into those numbers. This will be moderated by Venus Sawant, who's the township planner, and then she would put you live with us to make any comments that you may have. I suggest to people, if you want to talk about a certain item and you have issues, write them down, get a piece of paper and pen now. This way you won't forget when you do get on the phone. Sometimes people get nervous. So it's the perfect time to access them, a paper and pencil. Ms. Sawant, would you fill in all those things that I have forgotten? Is Venus still there?
Good evening, all. A couple of reminders. Zoning board members will be unmuted during the first half of the meeting when they will be required to vote on other agenda items. The zoning board attorney, the zoning board chairman, the zoning board secretary, the court reporter, which I don't believe there is a court reporter today, will remain unmuted throughout the meeting. Everyone else will be muted. The presentation for the applications begin. The applicants will be asked to turn on the video and unmute themselves in the order in which they will testify. For public, I will announce the last four digits of the caller's phone numbers to come forward, announce their name and address. I will also announce the last four digits of the next caller's phone number so that they will be prepared. We will share our screen to display any exhibits. The meeting information will be displayed on the screen multiple times during the meeting so that any resident who wishes to call and join the meeting can do so. Please be mindful, there is a 30-second time lag in the presentations.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sawant. Item number 2 is discussion on our agenda this evening. It's for the 2020 annual report. Ms. Sawant?
Dina?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm having some issue.
Okay, you want me to come back to it a little later?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, no
So,
problem.
board members, actually, Damien, can you stop sharing the screen? Perfect, thank you. So, board members, I have worked on a draft annual report, and I have sent it to our attorney for review. I would like the board to review it before the next meeting, and we can take a vote on the report at the next meeting. In general, just a synopsis, we had 12 C variance applications last year. We had about 8 D variance applications, and the report summarizes and gives details of each application that was approved. But that's pretty much it. Once Mr. Sack has reviewed the report, I will share it with board members so that you have ample time to review it and be prepared for the next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Sawant. So that'll go on the schedule for April 1st, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. If you're listening at home, there's an annual report compiled by the township, and that gets reviewed by the board. The board will vote on that and its recommendations. And if you're interested in that, it'll be on a 4-1 tune in. We'll see what it's about. Next item on the agenda this evening is a discussion, Madam Board members. It's concerning Metro Storage at OB LLC versus Township of Old Bridge Zoning Board authorization for additional funds. Mr. Sachs, could you just fill in the board a little bit, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board will recall, this was an application that was denied by the zoning board last year. Metro Storage decided to file a prerogative writ action in the Middlesex County Superior Court. The case has been assigned to Judge McCluskey. We've already had a case management conference. The plaintiff, being Metro Storage, has submitted their brief. I recently prepared my brief along with the objector, submitting a brief as well. I believe at this point the only future submission will be a reply brief by Metro Storage, and I believe the matter is scheduled for a trial, which of course will be conducted virtually. I believe in May, and at that point, Judge McCluskey will make a determination on this. So I believe the discussion you have now is just to authorize additional funds to be allocated towards the litigation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sachs. Board members, I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, maybe not Ms. Andrews, but the matter was heard, and there was a action taken by the applicant. So in essence, we're going to ask for someone to move a resolution or make a motion, I should say, to apply more funds to for an attorney for these actions up to $5,000. Would someone like to make such motion?
I'll make a motion. Dewhurst.
I'll second. Stoner.
Vice Chairman Dewhurst has made the motion, second by Mr. Stoner. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews.
Ms. Andrews?
She said yes.
Okay,
Chairman Sullivan?
yes, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I think what I'll do is I'm going to provide a copy of the brief that I filed to Ms. Silverman, and she can distribute that to the board members, just so you're aware of what's been
All right.
filed.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Board members, I'm holding a resolution in my hand. I'm going to read it into the record, please, and I'll ask for a vote on the Township of Old Bridge Zoning Board of Adjustment resolution. Whereas Metro Storage LLC has filed a complaint in the Superior Court concerning the denial of application number 15-19Z, naming the Zoning Board of Adjustment of Old Bridge as defendant, bearing the caption Metro Storage LLC plaintiff versus Old Bridge Zoning Board. Docket number Middlesex L 006211-20, and whereas additional funds are needed to be made available for this purpose, not to exceed $5,000, and whereas the Zoning Board of Adjustment does hereby authorize and direct its attorney, Lawrence B. Sachs, to represent the Zoning Board of Adjustment in this matter, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be published in the Home News and Tribune within 10 days after the adoption of this resolution. And this is to certify the foregoing a true copy of the resolution adopted by the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Old Bridge at its public meeting held on March 18th, 2021. Would someone care to move the resolution?
I'll move it.
I'll
Dewhurst.
second, Connor.
Vice Chairman Dewhurst has moved the resolution. Mr. Connor has seconded. The board secretary. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dewhurst,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews. You're muted.
Take the mute off, Roseanne. Okay. No.
She said yes.
Okay.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. I can't hear that on my end. Okay. All right. Item 4 on the agenda is minutes that are concerning March 14th, 2021. Everyone should have received electronically a copy of those. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review them. Absent any comments or suggestions for additions or deletions or typos, I'd ask someone to move them to memorialize those and adopt them.
I'll move it.
Mr. Stoner, is there a second?
I'll second Kilduff.
Bill Duff seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dewhurst,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Okay, that brings us to our applications for the evening. There are 2. I'm going to call them in order. They're both C applications this evening. First one is 89-2020Z. It's Stephen and Denise Deek, 4 Rose Lane for a 16 by 33 pergola. It's in the R15 PCD zones requiring a C variance. Are they there? And
I see Mr. Deek.
Mr. Deek there. Just take your mute off, Mr. Deek.
It's off, sir.
Okay, the board is, I saw somebody else with you. Are you going to be the only one testifying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the board attorney is going to swear you in, sir.
All right, Mr. Deek, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record.
First name is Stephen, last name is Deek. D as in David, E-A-K, 4 Rose Lane, Old Bridge, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Mr. Deek, we have a copy of your application and it's been obviously reviewed by the board. While this is a formal proceeding, when it's a homeowner trying to do something and they're seeking a minor variance, we try to make it a little bit more relaxed. But nonetheless, there are things that have to be put on the record in order for the board to make an apprised determination on whether to approve or deny. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, in your own words, just tell us what you want to do, how you're going to accomplish that, why you want to do it. And of course, we have, I think, some photos already. So take your time. What happens after that is we may have some questions for you. I'm going to ask Mr. Gill, who's the zoning officer, to tell us why you need this variance. And we'll go to a public portion. And then if you want to take a vote, I will ask the board for a vote. Okay, so just take your time and proceed at your own speed.
Okay. This, I call it a covered pergola, was constructed by myself about 14, 15 months ago. It went up in about 6 months later. I got a visit from the township asking about permits, which I didn't know I had needed at the time. I replaced it from, I had two 13 by 13 foot structures on that pad. And what I did, I just replaced it with a larger one. It was erected for my wife. My wife's a stroke survivor. She's full disabled. So we kind of put it outside for her and the kids. So they can just kind of hang outside during the day, a little less stressors in life. I didn't know about about the laws about encroaching on the property line. That's where one of the biggest concerns is. And that's where the variance, I believe, is kind of trying to help me out here, that I can leave it up. Now, originally by the township, I was told they had complaints by my neighbors. Now, I spoke to all my neighbors within, I would say, 100 foot, and each one of them had said they have no problem with it. They weren't have to write letters in favor of me to just leave it up, because we all kind of use it as neighbors also. If anything has to be adjusted, I have no problem adjusting it as per construction codes. I'll work with you and the departments. I guess any questions from you at this point? It's a simple.
Yeah, it's, as you said, Mr. Deek, it's already erected, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why don't we ask, we'll go in order. We'll go to the zoning officer, and he's going to tell the board what the infractions are, and then we'll go to the board members. Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. As Mr. Deek explained, the application before you this evening is for a 16 by 33 pergola approximately that was constructed on the side of the property. As Mr. Deek summarized, the applicant, for personal reasons, decided to erect this structure. We became aware of this structure being constructed, and at that time, he initiated the process to try to legitimize it, not being aware that permits were necessary. It was at that time that we discovered that there was a side yard setback deficiency. The applicant proposes, I do apologize, I don't have my denial letter with me, but the applicant was proposing a 1 foot setback for accessory structures where a 10-foot setback is required. And it was at that time that we discussed either altering the site, altering the placement of the structure, and Mr. Deek opted to apply for this variance since the structure had already been improved. He thought that going for the variance might be his best avenue. And that's why we're here this evening for a 1 foot proposed side yard setback where 10 foot is required.
Damien, is his yard fenced in?
Yes, it is. I believe we have I think we have a photograph or the survey.
Yep,
I can.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking. I can't tell by that. Is it?
Yes, there's a fence that runs down that side, sir.
There is. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Damien? It's just the setback on the lot line, right?
Well, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
It's just
Board
a
members,
setback.
any questions? You can jump in or raise your hand. And none. Mr. Sachs, anything?
Yeah, I just have one question for Mr. Deek. Mr. Deek, I thought I heard you say that there were some structures in the area where you constructed the pergola.
Yes, sir. Originally, I had two 13 by 13 foot structures there. For quite a few years when we had the pool installed, I took those down and just created one bigger structure. And it was never a problem prior to, so I just kind of did this on my own to make one instead of two.
And what was the purpose of those structures? Was it basically providing shade as well?
Correct. It covers the patio, sir.
I got you. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the picture that we see here is the way it is and the way it's going to remain, right? Should we grant you the relief?
Yes, sir. You're looking for, yes, the way I want to leave it, you're looking from the backyard towards the front yard. With that
Yes, I
picture.
see that. Okay. And it's not going to be closed in at any point, right?
No, sir. What would happen is I finished it and then I got a visit from the township construction code. So it was all completed already.
Okay. I just wanted the rest of the board to understand what they would be what we'd be taking a vote on. Okay.
I have to share the survey for.
Yeah. Damien, anything else?
No,
I've seen it. I went to his house. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Think...
I mean, one of the things that the zoning office tries to do is when someone is proposing a construction, we try to avoid the need for a variance because of the nature of the way this came in. That's not an opportunity we had, and that's really why we're here this evening. Because obviously the Deeks have some property, and they probably could have realized something somewhere else, but we're here because they're trying to make it right.
Okay, I understand. Any of the board members' commentary? None?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Damian, obviously, there's no issue with the way it was constructed. Everything is fine. It looks,
I think that's a premature statement. The building department has declined to review it because of the outstanding variance condition. Once it passes through my office, vis-a-vis a variance, if the board was so inclined to approve it, then the building department will review it. And at that point, he will be brought in, he will have to bring it into compliance because there's already a permit in the pipeline. So if there are issues, he'll have to correct those issues.
thank you.
That's understood, sir.
Okay, Mr. Deek. Anybody else? All right, seeing none. Mr. Deek, I'd like to open the public portion on this matter, okay?
Absolutely, sir.
This is matter 89-2020Z located at 4 Rose Lane. If you have any questions or comments about this particular application, please phone in.
There are no raised hands.
Okay, we'll wait about a minute. While we're waiting, Mr. Deek, is there anything else you want to tell us?
No, sir. I'm, like I just said, I'm more than happy to work with the town if there's a construction deficiency to bring it up to code. That's without question.
Right. Well, yeah, yes, obviously, they would inform you of that. Any calls?
No,
Not seeing any, Chairman.
Mr. Sachs?
I don't see anything, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We're good on the time?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, this would be for a setback.
you're closing it, right?
I'm sorry?
You're closing the public
I
portion.
am closing the public portion, yes.
Just making sure.
Okay. Board members, you have the picture in front of you. See what it is. It's 1 foot setback where 10 is required. Is someone in favor of moving this for variance? I'll move it. In favor. Is there a second?
Second, Kilduff.
Kilduff seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dewhurst,
Yes,
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews? Yes?
Raise your hand if it's yes. There we go. Okay. Thank you.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. We do have a resolution, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is application 89-2020Z. Property located block 14264.11, lot 2, known as 4 Rose Lane. It's an application to permit the construction of a 16-foot, 11-inch by 33-foot, 3-inch open pergola with roof in violation of side yard setback, 10 feet required, 1 foot proposed. The only conditions of approval: construction to be completed within 1 year of the issuance of the building permit, which obviously has happened. And I think we just need to add on here, Kim, that obviously subject to review by the construction department. Secondly, pergola shall remain open.
Understood, Mr. Deek?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Resolution, someone want to move it?
I'll move it.
Who is that? Mr. Stoner?
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second, Kilduff.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dewhurst,
yes,
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews? Raise your hand. Thank you. Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Mr. Deek, I hope that your wife and the children find some comfort in there. Please comply with whatever the township tells you and make sure you get all your permits. Best of luck.
Thank you. Do I stay with you for the rest of the meeting now?
No, we're done unless you.
Okay.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want
You have
to.
nothing else going on.
I've got
No,
some
we're gonna-
homeschooling to finish.
We're finished with you. If you're
Thank you,
finished
sir.
with us. Good
Thank
night,
you,
sir.
board.
Good night. Okay, we have one further application, board. Is that person up already? Yes, I see them up on the top right of my screen. This is matter 8-2021Z. It's in the R20 zone. This is Inga. I hope I'm saying this right. Sierra. This is located at 58 Oakland Road, a corner lot, 6-foot fence requiring a C variance. And I see 2 people there. Are both of you going to be testifying or just one?
We can both testify.
Just in case, we'll both swear in.
Right, the board attorney has to swear you both in, okay?
Okay, so if you both, thank you. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, so Mrs. Sakara, why don't you state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the record?
Inga Sequeira, Sequeira, 58 Oakland Road, Old Bridge.
Okay, and sir, if you can do the same?
Certainly. My name is Robert Lloyd, LLOYD, residing at 58 Oakland Road, Old Bridge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. To both of you, I'll say, I'm sure you heard what I told the previous applicant about the proceedings. So there's probably no need for me to repeat all of that. Again, we try to make it a little easier on the homeowner, but again, you need to put some things on the record. Basically what the gentleman did in front of you. So in your own words, you can proceed. Tell us what's going on, what you need to do, why you're going to do this, and then we'll talk to Mr. Gill. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, the board, for your consideration in this variance application. We recently moved into this property in October of 2020, and we erected a fence in our backyard because we have a Labrador. And when we bought the property, we believed that we weren't a corner section, although visually we appear to be one. We thought the easement we were told the easement to the right side of our property belonged to Spring Knolls. So when we had a fence erected, it's about 1 foot off the property line instead of 5 feet. So we're respectfully requesting a consideration for variance to leave the fence in its place.
Okay. When you say along the property line, well, I guess Mr. Gill will tell us where it is. We'll go to Mr. Gill now.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, so the applicant purchased this property and filed application for a fence permit. In that filing, there were some discussions with our assistant zoning officer to configure this property, configure this fence in such a way where we can, where Ms. Segeda and Mr. Lloyd can maximize the amount of yard space that they can encompass. And in that discussion, there was a discussion, and this isn't a traditional denial letter situation where we've written a denial letter, because we actually approved their application. The approval of their application was for the construction of a 5-foot fence, a 6-foot fence, 5 foot back from the front property line, the front property line being Trans Old Bridge, the corner property that Mr. Lloyd was referring to. And the confusion initially arose from the fact that there is a electrical transformer box that houses all of the utilities, the electrical utilities for the development, that bleeds onto their front yard on that side. And they were under the impression that they had to stay away from that and not from the property line. So operating in what we presume was good faith, they constructed their fence. And it was at that point that we discovered that they erected a 6-foot fence in the front yard. As the board is well aware, when you want to construct a 6-foot high fence, you're not permitted to do so in a front yard. You're only permitted to do so on a corner property if you set it back. And at that point, it was decided by Mr. Lloyd and Ms. Segura that applying for the variance was probably their best move. I did want to share, I know the board has had the pleasure of seeing it, but I did want to share their survey just to highlight one of the things that they were mentioning about the property and the width of their side yard. So if you look here, so we have the utility box here, and then this line, this kind of lighted, faded line shows where they were proposing to put the fence, and then they were going to bring it back this way. As you can see, though, we have a concrete sidewalk along Trans Old Bridge that comes out, and because of the shape of Trans Old Bridge there and how it ties into Oakland, we do have a very large right-of-way, which is not typical for our homes. Our typical homes have a 10-foot, a 7 to 10-foot right-of-way, unless we're talking about the harbor. In this case, we have something on the order of like 30, 35 feet to their property line. So we don't see an impediment generally speaking, the 6-foot setback or the 5-foot setback for 6-foot fences has to do with visibility and the potential impact to sight triangles and things like that. And because of the width here, we really didn't have an issue with what they wanted to do, but the ordinance requires a variance, and that's why we're here this evening.
So this fence goes all the way to the sidewalk? I'm looking at a picture of this house now on Google. It goes all the way out from the sidewalk and down, right?
Not really from the side. When you're saying the sidewalk, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Which pictures?
On the inside of the sidewalk towards the house.
Yeah, in the back. So towards the back up here, it's
Okay.
closer to the sidewalk. But as we come down, it starts to stray away from the sidewalk because it follows the property line.
Okay. And does it enclose the front of the house? Because I don't see I don't see this on the survey where it's more.
No, it comes across. So they're actually holding it up now. But what it does is, if you see with the arrow here, it actually shoots across like this and ties in about 8 or 9 feet back from the front corner.
Okay.
So it doesn't go forward of the house.
Oh, okay.
Towards
Good.
Oakland.
Good. Okay, I understand that. Anything else, Mr. Gill?
No, that's all, Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Sachs, you have anything?
No, I would just, looking at the survey, I would agree with Mr. Gill that it does not appear that there's any site triangle violation. There is a large area there, and that's certainly the important consideration.
Right. That's why I was a little confused on how it went, but I'm satisfied what I see now. Board members, questions of Mr. Lloyd? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Lloyd, I'm going to open the public portion, okay, if that's all right with you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This matter is 8-2021Z. The location is 58 Oakland Road, for a corner lot, a 6-foot fence in violation of height, requiring a C variance. If you're interested in making any comments, asking any questions, please call in on one of the numbers that you see in front of you right now, and we'll put you on live. And while we're waiting, is there any final comments you would like to make, Mr. Lloyd?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you and the board for your consideration, and Kim Silverman and Mr. Gill for their assistance in working with us through this process. So we've learned a lot. We appreciate your support.
It's quite all right. We're happy to help.
Appreciate that.
No hands.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any hands either.
I'll ask for the legal opinion, Mr. Sachs.
Mr. Chairman, I think we can close the public portion.
Thank you very much. Public portion is now closed. Now you can make any final comment you want, sir, because now we're going to take a vote if you'd like.
No further comments from us.
Very good. Board members, you've heard the testimony, you've seen the survey, you've heard Mr. Gill, and you've heard Mr. Sachs. Anyone in favor of moving this variance for approval?
I'll move it for approval.
Kilduff moved for approval. Who's the second? The Vice Chairman?
I'll second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dewhurst,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews. Raise your hand. Thank you. Chairman Sullivan.
That is a yes. We have a resolution, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Application 8-2021Z, Inga Sequeira, property located block 13306, lot 824, 58 Oakland Road. Property located in the R7, R20 cluster zone. Applicant proposes the construction of a 6-foot high privacy fence on a corner lot where a 4-foot high open fence is required, which must be 50% open. Certainly this fence will violate that. And the conditions of approval, construction to be completed within 1 year of the issuance of the building permit, and the finished side of the fence to be facing the outside. So the ugly part of the fence goes inside.
Right, exactly.
All right.
Board members, just for a note, if you read the description of the application, I think you're in the process, Mr. Lloyd, of planning on putting a swimming pool in too, right?
We are. We are. You got that today or the last few days?
Okay, well, no, I see it on here, and I'm saying that's your motivation for the fence as well.
Oh,
Yeah, and shortly you'll see the Generac as well.
Okay,
We have a few permits in.
okay, talk to the permit people, please.
Thank
Don't
you.
bring them from this.
We've got Damien on speed dial now.
Okay.
It's okay. I never answer.
I wanted to ask you one question. I know we're on the resolution here, but
Got to vote on it, Jim.
I know, but I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Is a homeowners association involved here?
No,
None.
we're not part of Oakwood. It's a single family outside of it.
Very good. Let's call the roll. I'm sorry. Let's take a vote first. Who's going to move it?
Motion to approve, Connor?
Is there a second?
Second, Kilduff.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Duhas,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Kilduff,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews. You're
That's a yes.
muted.
There we go.
She's actually muted.
She did raise her hand, yes.
Ms. Andrews, can you get your microphone to work or not?
Yeah, I don't think her microphone is on or working.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Chairman Sullivan,
Yes. Best of luck on your investment there. I wouldn't want to have to cut your lawn from what I'm seeing in the picture.
He doesn't want to either.
Okay, that's good. I vote in favor and you have been approved. Make sure you get any necessary permits.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Chairman. Thank
Have
you.
a good
Bye.
night. Thank you.
Good evening. I hope you get that in before the summer starts.
We'll
I don't
try.
think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Next year, they said.
Wishful thinking, right?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much. Good night. Ms. Silverman, any further business to bring before the board?
no, Larry has, anything on the other, trial date or anything?
Yeah, I actually, that would be on the Northwoods, the Old Bridge Pistol Club. I just got a brief that was filed by the attorney for the plaintiff in that case. And I think my brief is due middle of April. And I'll keep the board posted. I think that trial date is scheduled for June. So we've got two pending court cases, the Metro Storage and the Old Bridge Pistol and Rifle Club litigation. So.
Okay, and our next meeting is April 1st.
April Fool's Day, right? Okay. Anybody else on the board have anything they want to bring forward? No? I'd ask Ms. Sanders, but we wouldn't be able to hear you. You got to get that microphone fixed. All right, I think it's about time that I call for an adjournment before I get myself in trouble. Does someone want to move for an adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Good night,
Good night,
everyone.